We are back on this edition of the Marvel Roundtable. We go back over to Disney Plus as we witness Samuel L. Jackson's return to Earth. And speaking of returns, because there's so many returns, we also have the return of the Skrulls. What's going to happen with all this mystery, and intrigue around this new possible threat? And could this save the MCU phase? Spoiler, it freaking won't. Join us as we talk about the secret invasion right here on the Marvel Roundtable. Welcome, everyone, to the Marvel Roundtable right here on the Horny Goat YouTube channel and the Horny Goat Podcast Network, wherever you listen to us from. And we are back. It's been a while. It's been a hot minute, but we just came off the heels of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And now, of course, we are here with back with another Disney Plus mini-series, 6-part series, Jesus. The Secret Invasion. Samuel L. Jackson's back with a vengeance. Talking about the Skrulls. We're going to talk about the ups, downs, and what I consider to be a massive missed opportunity in this franchise. But we got the whole crew with us this evening, always on the roundtable. We got Heather, we got Canadian Basement, you shape-shifting son of a bitch. How are y'all?
Okay.
Pretty damn good.
I've been dealing with hearing the beep of the mysterious smoke alarm with dying battery all day.
Just take it off.
There's 5 of them, and I
Take them all off.
them out, and there's still something fucking beeping.
Is that type of noise where, like, even when it's long gone, you're still gonna hear it chirp in the back of your head?
JP like left something in the house before he left.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Total side note, but there is a device where it's like a plug-in, like almost like a USB thing where you plug it into like an outlet or something, and it just makes random fart noises throughout the day. I said I want to visit so many places and just leave them there and see how long it takes for people to fucking find it. Where the fuck is that fart noise coming from? Anyway, Secret Invasion, baby. We are back on Disney Plus with a mini-series coming off the heels of still Avengers Endgame. Still on MCU phase number 5, which is, technically, obviously, still part of the multiverse saga we got going on here. But we're taking a bit of a deviation, a little bit away from all the craziness of multiverse theory, space battles, and of the likes, and kind of, in some ways, going back to basics as far as the this international spy thriller-esque series that, truth be told, until I saw some trailer footage, I wasn't really too huge on it, because obviously, looking in comparison to the comic source material, this Secret Invasion is a lot less high stakes. It's a lot more mild in terms of the antagonist. But we're gonna break down the entire series and go at episode by episode. But first and foremost, of course, I want to give some love to the chat, which is all Alpha right now. So once again, Alpha, always appreciate you popping in, and always let us know your thoughts if you're listening to us on the post show. But without going into too much detail, overall thoughts. I know how much you both loved this series, right?
Go ahead, Heather. Ladies first.
This is another one of those classic Marvel bullshit things where it's
Glad
okay, maybe, then fuck you, Marvel.
It's edging.
Yeah. It starts out well enough to keep me interested until the last episode. And then the last episode happens, and I almost turned it off in the middle of it. So yeah, there's my pre-show thoughts.
Can't wait for the Marvel's Basement. What'd you think?
So unlike you guys, I didn't like any of it. It wasn't the last episode that really threw me off.
It was 1 through 6.
It was I wasn't really hooked after 1. It was 1 was the best episode, number 1, but the rest, and the fact that number 1 was the best episode, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll watch this so I can review it. Is my mindset after that, and it's because I feel like I secretly knew where it was going.
Towards an invasion? You knew.
It's Okay, this is my thought throughout this whole thing, and I was like, you know what? Marvel keeps doing this. They try to separate themselves from themselves in order
Mhm.
to like gain new viewership. It's like, oh, this is a show, a Marvel Universe show that adults could watch, or
Mhm.
within a different genre.
Mm-hmm.
And they've done this several times, and they've tried different genres, and they always seem to be like, what's the production company that makes like Transmorphers?
Oh,
They always seem to be like these shitty versions of the thing that they're trying to be. They miss all the beats of what this was supposed to be, like a spy, um,
Espionage, yeah.
yeah.
thriller, espionage, and it fails at everything it does.
Well,
There is some good to be had in this, and I'm with you at the beginning when you said it was a huge missed opportunity, because that is going to be my statement for the entire thing.
yep.
But it's like it's they put somebody in a room and made them watch every spy thriller known to mankind, and the things that they liked were the things that people would be like, "What's every spy movie have in common?" And that's what they took and put it into the show.
Pretty fucking accurate. So, as I mentioned off air, obviously I'm a big Captain America fan. So like when you see something that's leaning towards that direction of like a lot more grounded in reality, and you have like this like mystery to it, I'm gonna say no heroes, but I'm gonna do that with the gigantic, biggest fucking air quotes that you can't see right now. But meaning like it wasn't advertised that we weren't gonna get any heavy hitters. So there was a lot of this going into it. I'm like, okay, low key, you're gonna bring in Samuel L. Jackson. The Skrulls are okay. Like there's enough here that I'm like, all right, this could do it. This could create enough intrigue for me to like really like kind of back this horse on this one, even if it's a one-off, even if it's like just a jumping point from A to B or whatever. And just on a real quick note too, I kind of wish that some of these Disney shows had like relatively lower stakes and didn't involve the fucking president of the United States, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
It's on paper. The idea of the show is great.
Yeah.
And there's so many parts of that like mixing pot to create a show that they nailed. But the most intrinsic one they failed at. Anyways,
yeah.
like as we go on, this is why like Disney ground level should it needs to like there needs to be clever writing in order to keep it ground level. Because there has to be an excuse for why aren't we involving anybody else instead of like some horse shit that comes out of the blue.
Which there are a couple of moments in the show that
terrible.
they at least tried. All right, they at least fucking tried. But
I don't give them any kudos for trying. Fucking succeed.
Well,
no, you're a fucking $1 billion company. Do something right.
It's Marvel. My expectation is meh. So the I'm trying to remember what the fuck I was gonna say now. Oh, so there was a lot of things there as far as like on paper, like you said, that was like very intriguing to me. Even if like no big players, I'm like, okay. Even if it's a one-off, even if it's something kind of like the werewolf fucking short that we saw.
I think I would have liked that more if I wasn't fucked up and watching it. In all honesty, I probably would have. No, the werewolf one. I would have enjoyed more. Like this show, I watched completely sober.
Oh God bless. All right. But and honestly, for the most part, it was actually shaping up to be one of my favorite ones. I know Basement's gonna wildly disagree, but that's fine. It was shaping up to be one of my favorite ones, and then man, that 6th episode, they just shat right in my face. I really was mad at the ending of this, and in some ways, we'll get to it when we get to it. I understand they wrote themselves into a hole, but like, man, they had some really good. They had some decent stuff going on.
They did a really poor job. It's like
that's what I mean. I understand they did a poor job.
I don't understand. They should have done better. It's like
I agree.
At this point. At best, this was a what was it? Captain America and Winter Soldier clone, but worse. And at worst, this is like, for me, it's probably going to end up slightly above She-Hulk.
Yeah, you know what? And we'll get to this.
I'll tell.
I'll tell you right now, I have a manifesto, motherfucker.
I do.
All right, real quick. Obviously, there's a lot of crazy casting characters in this one. We'll try to, obviously introduce them as much as possible and kind of go through it. The one thing I did want to ask Basement, because Basement, you didn't watch Captain Marvel.
And that's also like what I wrote down during this. I'm like, I wonder how these guys experienced it. I was fucking lost. I'm not kidding you. I was lost through the first little bit of this show because they're referring to people by their names that were in Captain America, and I was like, I assumed that was the case, but they really this is one of those ones where the assumption of having watched Captain America is pretty much a necessity for the show for the first couple episodes.
Yes, it is.
Which is terrible to hinge yourself to that.
So I was just curious what your So I was curious what your experience was on that.
I didn't know who anybody was.
Yeah, well,
I really didn't know. Like on top of the confusion that they should have done with the Skrulls, I was confused about who anybody actually was, even though they gave me their names.
Who am I?
And I was taken aback by the fucking. Okay, so you look at my picture right there.
Mm-hmm.
Who is that?
It's you. Wait,
Yeah.
Okay. It's fucking Piccolo.
It is. It's Dragon Ball Z Evolution's Piccolo, and that is exactly what they look like. And it looked bad. The prosthetics look bad, man.
You know what's funny is that, like, I think with the only exception being the moments like with Talos at like talking to Captain Marvel in person, they weren't that bad in Captain Marvel.
They just
They
look
look
like
exactly the same.
they look like Doctor Who prosthetics.
Doctor Who done it?
Like early age Doctor Who. It wasn't good.
Man.
Like the CGI at times was fine. Like there's
That's where we started.
yeah, there's times where it's absolutely terrible, and there's times where it's actually passable. I think this is going to be a problem with doing this thing. Like I would have just fucking gone more with painting their faces with little
The little
attachments
for their lips and their nose and the.
yeah, instead of
That's all they needed. The rest they could have painted and put contacts in.
Bring me the
it just made the heads look too big
Yes.
and comical to the bodies that weren't wearing something to enlarge the bodies either. The heads and the hands look massive,
like the Great Gazoo
like weird.
from the Flintstones.
Yes.
Yeah, it was
Yes, that's exactly what it was. The zoo
That
from Flintstones.
So with that being said, let's get this party started with some Secret Invasion. Dun dun dun. So episode 1 is Res.
Hold on, I heard a couple things.
Motherfucker.
Because after this, I've looked up the show a little bit. Apparently, and this would make a lot of sense, this show was very expensive. You would never think so, but it was over $200 million, I think, 212 or something like that.
Damn.
And
I bet it was
it
mostly Nick
had
Jackson's.
apparently to do one season of a show, it's normally about 4 or 5 months. This was in production for 8 months because they went back and redid everything. They also hired different people along the path. Apparently, the production was fucking a mess.
Yes.
And I'm kind of getting. I kind of see why.
Feel that. You
Yeah.
Feel it with all the cuts and whatnot.
I don't remember if it was for COVID reasons or other, but yes, I did hear.
I'm sure
I
COVID
heard this
did play a part in it.
Yeah, I did hear this at the time that there was a lot of things. I mean, I've also heard the same thing with I think it was more DC stuff, but I can't remember one move. There was one Marvel movie that we've reviewed that I forgot to mention where like there's a ton of reshoots being done it actually might have been Doctor Strange now that I think about it. Where like
that could have been either Doctor Strange or Ant-Man.
I think I think Ant-Man I could believe.
Ant-Man, we talked
all
about
over
that
the fucking
ad
place.
nauseum. So go listen to it and give us a review. And just actually before we get into this, also a little preface as far as the future. So after this review, we're once again caught up, and we have no other Marvel projects. In fact, the next one, which we can talk a little bit about at the end, is Loki season 2. Which I think is one of the more highly anticipated little things. But
I'm looking forward to that.
What's that?
That's next month, isn't it?
Jesus Christ, it is next month. Just when we thought
The thing is that is like outside of Guardians 3, that was the other thing I was looking forward to this year.
All right,
Same.
well,
And there was something earlier in this year that was terrible. I think it was Thor: Love and Thunder. Oh God.
It was. We were all excited for Thor. Love and
Yeah.
oh, didn't you hear that he's like, oh, I wouldn't mind doing a Thor 6 or
Who
Thor
said
5,
Oh,
Thor 5, Taika.
Get that man out of here.
All right, let's talk some Secret Invasion. So episode number 1, and just for reference, as far as timetable goes, I mean everything is still kind of like open ended, but we'll talk about that as far as another character. Episode 1, Resurrection. In Moscow, Talos pursues Everett K. Ross for killing CIA agent Prescott, who theorized that shape-shifting Skrull rebels, frustrated that Talos and Nick Fury have not found them a new home planet, intend to incite war between Russia and the United States to take over Earth. Maria Hill arrives to assist Ross, but discovers that he is a Skrull. She calls Fury, who has been working in space for years following the blip. Returning to Earth, Fury learns that Talos has been exiled from the Skrull Council and replaced by former ally Gravik, the rebels' leader. Fury is kidnapped by MI6 agents who work for his old acquaintance Sonya Falsworth, who refuses to work with Fury to stop Gravik. Using a bug to eavesdrop her, Fury and Talos locate the Skrulls who procured dirty bombs for the rebels, including Talos' daughter Gaia.
It's Gaia, like the Earth. He named her after the Earth because he loves it so much. That's probably a pretty good place to stop, I guess. There's a lot that.
There's a little bit more of a sentence here. After Talos reveals that her mother Soren was killed by the rebels, Gaia reveals the rebels' plan to attack, I'm not pronouncing that one, Square on Unity Day. Fury, Hill, and Talos fail to intercept the bombs before Gravik detonates them, and in the ensuing chaos, Gravik disguises himself as Fury and kills Maria Hill. Not How I Met Your Mother. All right, so yeah, there is some. Let's start things off here. So
there is a lot in there that they skipped over and summarized.
Well, listen. You expect me to have any sort of coordination right now? You're out of your graphic mind.
Join me.
So I'm trying to
Secret Invasion.
I'm trying to. We're all green here. So the idea basically is that, and this is also for Basement's reference too, in terms of some of the Captain Marvel stuff. So
I get it now.
God
At the end of the show, I understand.
Yeah.
But they do like explain it eventually. It's just they hit you so hard in the beginning with things that don't make any fucking sense to you if you haven't watched Captain Marvel.
So
eventually they do explain.
Right.
Which is a huge issue I have with this.
What, the connectivity to the movie?
It's not just that they go back every now and then chronologically, and they don't go back when they should go back. It's just it's a complete fucking mess.
So,
okay, you know the beginning scene?
Yes.
Anybody else not think he was a Skrull? That was so fucking terribly done.
Who, Ross?
Yeah, so Ross shows up, and this guy is crazy, like a fucking conspiracy theory nuts, talking about Skrulls, and he's like, I know I could trust. In what world would he think he could trust him?
Yeah.
A Skrull.
Then he just willingly tells him everything, gives him everything, and then he's like, wait a second. And Heather, I don't know if you noticed him, and I had to think about this for a while, but he was that fucking guy with the eye patch in Game of Thrones.
Yes, he was.
Yes.
Yep. As if Game of Thrones is already in the show enough as it is.
I know. Yeah. But anyways, that was again, for a spy thriller that's supposed to be something like playing with you mentally. That was dumb as just fucking bricks.
So
to start.
I actually. Oh, go ahead, Heather. Sorry.
Yeah, I couldn't understand why the guy who was all conspiracy theories, paranoia induced kind of basket case mode guy would just sit there and go, I trust you.
Yeah, it was just.
You know that these aliens are out there, and you know that these aliens can take the form of literally anybody.
So
the writing is so bad in this show. It might be the worst written show I've seen in a long time.
One of the things that I was kind of frustrated with, and I say again, a big missed opportunity is that, and this would have to be in the interweavings of the writing, but you know, as far as the idea of the Skrulls being anybody, they can shapeshift anybody. It's a very awesome power to have, especially in this setting, in this environment that we're going to get into, right? Minus the end, but we'll get there. And while there are some parts of it, and we'll get to obviously Rhodey, they kind of like tease the idea. I really wish they could have written a character where you really didn't know and made the audience guess throughout the entire.
What they should have done for a lot of characters, considering the subject matter.
Yeah.
But instead, it was like, let me tell you what's going on.
Yeah.
That's why this show is terrible. It's
not
so bad.
Secret invasion.
Because there's nothing secret about it. They show you everything. Nothing has any fucking there's no hype for anything. It's just like, here's this, here's this, here's this. Let's just tell you everything except for the beginning of where nobody knows who any character is at the beginning of the fucking show.
I just love the. Let me tell you what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, when we get to that episode, I'm gonna point out that
that's every episode. They tell you everything.
It is every episode, but there's one episode towards the end where they just sit there and just in your face with it.
Oh yeah. Oh god, I know what you're talking about. The first episode though is the best of the show. We'll get in my opinion why I think it's the best. The intro was terribly stupid. Because in my mind, I'm going into the show and be like, I'm not going to be able to trust any character to be any character. And that's really what they should have leaned on. That is what they're trying to tell you. And instead of that, it's like, okay,
massive,
so he's a Skrull.
Yeah,
he's a Skrull.
It's a massive missed opportunity, for sure.
I mean, I was disappointed when Maria wasn't.
Yeah, well, that's who I would have put, honestly. If I had to put somebody, it's like, okay, well, here you go. Also, she had bit parts in everything leading up to this. It was just, oh god, it's so bad in so many ways.
But we learned pretty quickly the idea of them basically kind of infiltrating the different governments and trying to set up Russia versus U.S. again in order to take over the world. Mwahaha. Fury's return was kind of.
No, okay, so
interesting.
Here's my question: when did this guy become fucking 9,000 years old?
Living in space can do that to you, actually.
Yeah, but they don't do that. That's an excuse for the terrible writing.
I don't know about old.
They don't show you that living in space.
No, but
they allude to something that they never show you. The blip changed him, and the reason for it is absolutely stupid because it's against his character. But whatever. It's like, oh, the blip changed him. Now he's 9,000.
He was blipped off. If anything,
I know.
If
anything, he should be younger.
Yeah,
but
right. I don't think they were trying to make him look old. I think they were trying to make him look rough. Oof.
Hey, he looked old as fucking shit.
Oh, of course he did. I'm just saying I think that's what they were maybe going for, but yeah, I agree with you.
He gets off the fucking space thing that brings him down to the planet, the laser beam, which is actually a ship, but in that it's not. He gets lasered onto the planet.
Laser. So I mean, the preface of and this is again for Basement's reference as far as Captain Marvel goes. The idea that the Skrulls were actually good guys and in the movie, and then the idea that Fury's gonna help him out and blah blah blah, which we'll talk about in an episode 2 in a second. But it's an okay setup and premise of, hey, Talos is now a side protagonist, and Fury has to help him and get everything to get back together, and all. It's all right. It's very basic.
That's the problem. It feels like it's written by 8-year-olds. The issue at hand is, okay, so he comes back. He's fucking 90 years old now. Never explained. It's just they want you to be like, this is the character now. Just take it. I don't give a shit. We're not really going to explain it. This is the character that you're getting.
Let me tell you what's going on here.
Which, first of all, frustrates me because they Luke Skywalkered him.
They did.
Which is all Disney seems to know how to do.
What do you mean?
Create the same. And I told you this when you were like, oh, you might enjoy the show a bit more than the other ones. I'm like, did they turn him into the old man that has to rely on the young folks to get by or something along those lines? And that's exactly what they did to him. It's like par for course. That's all they seem to be able to do with the old guard. It's like, yeah, you can't still be efficient and we'll get to a point, but
We
you can't
will.
you
We
can't
will.
still be a
Several
fisherman, but
times.
you know. You gotta be old. He gets off the fucking space laser, which now he's like lasered in. He's not dropped by a fucking big room. He's just lasered in, and his legs are broken. And I get it. Like I get your body has to acclimate to Earth.
The gravity of
But
Earth.
you
Yes.
can kind
He
of
has
show that a bit
gravity
better.
up on the ship, but not the same that is on Earth.
You can just show it a bit better than I have a crick in my leg and now it's done. They even allude to it later, and I'm like, he's not walking with a limp anymore. He walked with a limp for 2 seconds when nobody was there. Whatever.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So I guess it is gonna mean more if you knew at least of the characters in Captain Marvel, and I think that's one thing that I noticed is that, like, you know, we actually get more fleshed out versions of other Skrulls in this compared to Captain Marvel, but I think at least acknowledging like the setup beforehand as far as, well, everything's gone to shit now, and then, you know, going that way with it.
My whole feeling was like trying to feel something for the putties in Power Rangers. Like that's the like I
Oh
did
my
not
God.
give a flying shit, and all their reasoning was dumb. It was just we'll get to it.
Perfect. Maria Hill's dead.
Yeah, the one scene I did like happened in this episode where the main guy Gravik turned into like people that he was like interacting with prior, and I'm like, okay, that's finally give me something like cool, because that's really what you should be leaning on. You can't trust anybody around you. They could be anybody at any time. That's extremely fucking frightening if done well. But then he just explodes things and stands in the explosion, I guess, because he got superpowers already.
Down, yeah.
Yeah, the killing of Maria Hill, that's her name, right?
Yes.
What a wasted opportunity. They did nothing with it. They just killed her and moved on. He didn't even grieve. He didn't give a shit. Like,
Yep.
and this is why, like, what they try to do with him at times frustrates me. Because he's like 5 different characters in one.
Yes.
Like, oh, well, I don't care about any life except I care about life. It's like, okay, well, pick a lane, motherfucker.
No.
He doesn't know how. That's the problem.
I mean, I understand. I understand maybe the idea that they wanted to have Gravik seem like, oh man, not that him shooting Maria was like a fucking huge superhero like act, but the idea that like, oh man, he killed Maria, now it's personal.
Wouldn't it have been like, let's use the 6-episode time slot we have to build some character for Maria before we shoot her in the stomach and nobody cares?
Because they were kind of going down the avenue of like and this is one thing, just as again a heads up, one thing that I actually enjoyed about this show was it did not flush out, but it kind of, that's the best phrase I can think of right now because I'm way too out in the stars, flushed out a little bit of Nick Fury's character and actually gave him a little bit more of a presence to an extent.
Some of the things they did for him, I actually fucking hate. Like, I felt like Nick Fury, the way that they used him in the past was the way that he should have been used. I don't think he really needed to be fleshed out. I honestly don't. Especially after now watching it, I honestly don't.
I wish I knew less of you.
Well, sometimes that's what makes a character great.
Yeah.
Like, actually, the not knowing is so powerful. It's actually preferred for most characters, except for the leads in certain things. In storytelling, like you look at like Disney's past when they tried to fucking show more of Han Solo, show more of this, show more of that, it always failed.
Yes.
So sometimes it's best to not know.
Fine.
And just
stay in my little boat over here floating by myself because I enjoyed fucking Nick Fury's backstories and shit. No, I get it.
No, I actually, like, the one thing I'll say about the show is I don't think the acting was bad. I think the direction was bad.
Yeah.
That's my biggest, like, kudos for the show.
It's definitely the direction and the writing.
They also fucking hired a million fucking great actors. Like,
Yeah, that's true. There are some really good ones in here. I guess segueing into episode 2, we get a flashback back in 1997 with Fury recruiting several Skrull refugees, including a young orphaned Gravik, in exchange for helping them find a new home planet. In the present, Talos reveals to Fury that 1 million Skrulls are living on Earth. Now, I'm going to pause right here for a second because I'll be honest with you, this is actually one of my favorite clips, I think, of the whole series was this conversation with them on the train. Where like
it's like something that I wish they went into more.
yes.
Right.
It just passed by. Like after this, after he knows there's 1 million people, it changes nothing for him. Like it's so the writing is fucked because like there's moments where they talk to each other, and this conversation is great. Yeah, even from
I know
him
it's gonna
talking
turn.
about, like,
It's literally gonna mean shit. But
well,
just,
him talking about like the colored car and how they had to be, and like how his
Yes.
mom tested him. I'm like, okay, so you give me some backstory there. I can work with that in some way. Uh, then they don't do anything with any of the information given. There's times in this show where Nick Fury refers to like his life as like a black guy, but it starts to piss me off after a while. They get into like the whole thing with him and Don Cheadle. It's like, okay, well,
oh, we'll get
Yeah.
there.
they go too far into it, and it's like you actually had gold at the first trade interaction. Everywhere else, nobody
Yeah,
cares.
I agree with you on that too. But no, this conversation slash fight with Talos. I mean, in the moment when I was watching, it was like good stuff. But yeah, in the grand scheme of things, it's fart in the wind. Like it doesn't really matter much, which is bummer because they're like you said, there was a lot of substance there to like really pull either Talos away or Fury or whatever way you want to like kind of position them as characters. But you could have done so much with it and just up in the wind.
Also, didn't
Yeah.
know if Talos was like mimicking a guy from like Boston or if he was Australian at the time.
We got a problem with Boston.
I just I didn't know
Maybe
where his
switch
accent
the
landed.
accent.
He was all over the fucking place.
wait.
There's so much with the Skrulls that angers me
Mr.
because they
Worldwide.
don't go into any of it, and it's so like
Talos,
like
is
the
that
first
you?
show for a show that should have been 10 episodes tightly written at about 50 minutes apiece. It's 6 episodes of absolute bullshit.
And it jumps.
Oh yeah.
Well, it jumps for like weird. It's like now you want to tell me what happened. Like for me as a viewer that didn't watch the movie Captain or Miss Marvel or whatever the fuck it was.
You got it
I
Captain Marvel.
wanted to know where I didn't want to know who people were before the fucking show started. Not episode 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like it's it's such a weird way to like inform the watchers when you hold back information when the show's not interesting enough to carry viewership.
Yeah.
If you don't know what's happening, and even if you do, I don't know.
Yeah. It's,
Fuck you anyway. I'm kidding. Where was I? Oh, as the U.S. has implicated the as the U.S. is implicated in the bombing, Gravik meets with Skrull Council and gains majority support to lead the Skrulls in a new war. Dissenting Councilwoman Shirley Sager, I almost said sugar, contacts Talos to arrange a meeting between him and Gravik. In London, Fury meets with Colonel James Rhodes to explain the situation, but Rhodes discharges Fury and blames him for the bombing and Maria Hill's death. Falsworth interrogates an imprisoned rebel, Brogan, who reveals that Gravik is building a machine capable of strengthening the Skrulls with help from a scientist couple, the Daltons. Gaia discovers that the rebels are experimenting with powered DNA before accompanying Gravik to kill Brogan. Fury returns home and is met by his wife, a Skrull named Vara, who has taken on the human identity Priscilla Davis. Okay, not to unfucking pack there. Talked about that part before. So they just gave Gravik support.
Yeah, they
Gravik's
voted,
character is
and he's
so
the
bad.
new world leader.
Because of a bombing.
It's so bad. There's no reason. There's no reason for any of them to support him. It's like what they should have done is he should have had a showcase of his power, not of just bombing shit. Like his power, so that people would be like, "I'm not voting with you for the fear of you."
Yeah.
They like Gravik is the biggest missed opportunity in this entire fucking thing.
I also agree.
Because if you had this show divvied up between Gravik's backstory and his fucking motivations and Samuel Jackson, Nick Fury's fucking motivation story, you would have had a much better show than this. It's just like every opportunity they get, they want people to feel something. It's the same thing. Do you feel like it's the same thing as that fucking freckled girl from? It's the same character almost.
The what?
The freckled girl from. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. The girl with freckles from. Captain America, Winter Soldier.
Morgan.
Yeah. It's the same thing. Refugees in a planet, and you have to do drastic things.
Watch as these refugees try to fight and take over a planet.
Watch how these refugees become the bad guy.
Why? Why have I feel like I heard this before?
It's the exact same storyline.
Yeah.
It's like beat for beat, and yeah, he's a bit more aggressive than she was, or a bit more aggressive early in the game. I feel like the when I say it's a misused character, it has to go with like the fucking. They do have the story. This is why I don't understand this fucking show. They have the story, they have the acting, and then they just fucking fail. It's just like, we're gonna buy you the best equipment and train you as hard as we can, and then you just go out on the ice and face plant and fucking brain yourself.
You know.
It's fucking wild how bad that they like. It's just so frustrating because this character at the end of the show, did anybody give a shit? No, and he's got like motivation, but
I'm
like
going on a full blown like hate speech on the last episode. I'm just warning you right now. Now the reintroduction of Rhodey, right? We knew Rhodey was going to be in the show.
Not acting like Rhodey at all. So you already know he's a Skrull.
Yeah. I have mixed,
bad. Bad.
I have mixed feelings.
It's so bad.
On one hand, I have such mixed feelings.
So their whole thing is a secret invasion, right? So they're not going to act like the people that are taking over.
Yep.
They're going to turn into like wisecracking fucking piece of shit assholes who's actually a woman Skrull turned into a man, and you know what that's about.
Shut up. No,
I just can't stay away from it. The fucking identity politics.
So yeah, I'm very torn about Rhodey in the show. Very torn.
It's terrible. It was a good idea.
Well, this goes back to my complaint about like, take a character where you don't know what his deal is, but they made it clear as day in fucking 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Maria Hill. Sounds like she was the perfect choice. Let's shoot her in the stomach. You know what it is? They wanted someone that was recognizable but not too expensive.
Of course, yeah, of course.
That's what they wanted. So who else is going to fit that role? I think you could have gotten him, or I would have preferred Paul Rudd.
Oh God, yeah.
But you know, like in the realm of like not super A-list stars, but like A- to B, and it's just the fact that they have him play a different character from the get-go is just like, okay. And oh god, where it goes is even worse.
So we find out about the little that Gravik's plan is to create a super weapon to help the Skrulls take over the Earth. Which that makes more sense now, because it's like, oh, we're just gonna invade, but we're like powerless. Because I don't know about you guys, but it made me realize, I'm like, okay, yeah, the Skrulls can like shapeshift, but like they're not.
That's the stupidest thing.
They're weak.
But that's the stupidest thing about this show. It's like, if you can turn into anybody, you can control anything on the planet Earth. Because that's all they're looking at. You can, theoretically, if you can, like, shapeshift into anybody, you can turn into them, kill them, take their role, and if the role is big enough, you can change what's happening on Earth.
Right.
But their plan wasn't that. Their plan was, you know what? Let's not use the only thing
Let's
singular
get
to us
stronger.
that makes us special. Let's turn into the Hulk. Because why not? Everybody loves that.
The other part of it is that like, I don't know. I feel like what like the thing that we'll get to as a twist.
It just angers me because it's there. It's on the platter.
I know.
The ingredients are there.
I know. That's
And like you hire all these people that are good at what they do, and you end up with this. I just don't fucking get it, man.
It either.
Oh man. I mean, Heather, are you in the same boat here?
I am. I mean, you have so many ways that you could have played this out and had it done in a way that made it believable, even. Because everybody in America is afraid of something along these lines. You know, some sort of invasion of some kind. Play on that fear and make people fucking actually be entertained by this garbage.
What are those movies? There's like a certain director that does like Guy Ritchie or someone like that does like those montage sequences really good. I would have loved to see a montage sequence of like from the very basic like needs of humanity being manipulated by the Skrulls to the very top, and just so the connections between them as they go, you know, like someone does this on street level, then a little bit above this happens, then a little bit above this happens, and go in that direction.
Yeah.
Show us what the fuck is happening.
So
they show us nothing but people walking around and talking in small rooms, and that's where I was thinking, like, is this the COVID issue with the show?
Yeah, maybe. It very well could be. But another thing I just wanted to mention too is that like, I know there's been something like this before, and it was done
Way
infinitely better. And you know what it was?
Probably Bourne Ultimatum, one of the Bourne movies,
I meant in Marvel.
Oh, well, we just talked about it. Captain America and the Winter Soldier, or Winter Soldier.
Yes.
They're the same, like, you know, in the same vein. That was like that was the prototype for how that show and that movie was written. And this tries to do that and fails constantly. There's no like tense feeling. There's no idea of I don't know who's who. I know who everybody is. So what's the point of having like a shape-shifting fucking antagonist if you know who they are all the fucking time?
Hey. let me tell you what's going on.
It's terrible. I was watching this and I'm like, God damn it! Why are they telling me everything at every turn?
I just picture moments throughout the show where like people are yelling and fighting and they just stop and they just lean in real close to each other. Let me tell you what's going on.
What's going on, baby? What you don't get is you get everything.
Or as that video meme goes, yes, that is me. Let me tell you how I got here.
Yeah. Yep. That's me. You must be.
So I also want to say like there's moments in this show where I feel like it's a different show, and anytime the English lady is on screen, I'm like, is this a different?
Oh yeah.
Am I watching something different?
Yep.
Because it's actually somewhat entertaining, and I'm like, she's like taking from a different fucking.
Fallsworth, yeah.
I'm gonna say right now, I prefer her infinitely more than the Val character.
Which is the Val character? Who's that?
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Oh yeah, 1000% more. She is like I feel like the character she's playing in this movie is a character that I would have seen in like she could have been in any other thing like Deadpool or something like that. She's just like witty and funny and terrible at the same time. And it doesn't fit with anything else because you go from her spouting off these nonsensical shits, cutting people's fingers off and shit, and you go from that to like something that is like they suck the actual color out of the scene, and they're just fucking looking at each other, talking about shit nobody cares about. It's just that there's so many scenes, or they're walking. And this is where I said, like, whoever made this watched a bunch of, like, Bourne movies and Mission Impossible movies. And they're like, we need to get them walking in a crowd. If we can get them walking in a crowd, we're halfway there.
So two things to note. One, is it just me or does the British lady... I think she should be in the new Harry Potter series as Dolores Umbridge.
She gives the same vibes, but she's not as horrible.
No,
No.
I'm gonna say right now, her vibes are not the same because Dolores Umbridge, you despise because of how much she just
But
absolutely adored torturing children.
I think she could have played Dolores Umbridge. Not better, because I don't think anybody can beat who played her.
Agree.
But she could
Agreed.
play her if they do a reboot, which they're doing.
Yeah,
If you're not going to
do.
cast the original actress, that's who you cast.
Something else I wanted to make note of too, just as a fun little factoid, because I was just thinking about it, like, oh, the writing is garbage and blah 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 blah, and it made me think of this. Oh man, the show feels like it was written by AI,
Oh yeah, and
What?
then-
which
and
leads me
then-
to the intro
oh,
sequence.
which I think is you know how
Horrible.
tone deaf during the writers' strike, and a lot of them are Disney writers and blaming Disney for not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
They release a show that has an AI fucking intro,
Yep.
AI generated intro, and I actually think I could fucking believe if they told me it was an AI generated plot.
That's what I'm
The
saying.
plot is that fucking terribly written that I
I'm
would
just
go
saying.
with it. It's like just watch all these Marvel movies, especially watch Captain America and the Winter Soldier, and watch fucking the TV show. Watch them on Infinite, and then give me a plot. And this is what you got.
There you
Pretty
go.
much the same thing, just worse.
Yep. Just it makes a lot more sense when you put it like that, right?
Yes. Yes, it does.
I think, and this podcast came to a stop.
I just can't believe they did that. That is
the AI intro.
so
Yeah, it's
unbelievably insulting.
Yeah, it's such a it's a giant fuck you. Speaking of fucking, Fury's married.
Oh
To a
my
Skrull, no
God.
less. Which explains why he never had kids.
I hated this whole angle. I think
Can
you could have just chopped it out.
Missed opportunity.
I would either get rid of it in favor of doing a much better thing. It was terrible. Every time I saw it, I hated it. I think get rid of it entirely. That's where I stand. It was there for like accept who I am, no matter what I am.
Common theme of there's something here.
Yeah.
I actually, the beginning of this I didn't mind. I didn't mind the beginning of it. It's a wrinkle of fury and blah 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 blah. Okay, and we can how's this gonna play in with everything? Blah blah blah. And then like right about like an episode, maybe an episode and a half later, it just really went south for me.
How did this cost $200 million? You walk in
All
to a
the
room
CGI.
with
saw
your
the
people.
you saw the
The
intro.
CGI is not good either.
You saw the intro?
Yeah, that was free because
Shut up.
they spent $10 to fucking get whatever the AI is to make it. The intro too is like, unfortunately, I'm like, man, I was watching, like, I'm not against the intro. It just doesn't seem like it's fully encapsulating what the show's about because it encapsulates nothing of what the show is about.
Yeah.
If I wrote on like in a paragraph saying, well, the Skrulls are infiltrating Earth, and they're among us, and they're changing into us at every given time. That's what you would get, and then you input like the names of the people in the show and the characters. That's what you would get, but it doesn't. That's not what the show is. The show is terrible, and the intro is terrible. It's all terrible.
I didn't mind Fury's wife at the beginning, and it just went downhill pretty quick.
I just the problem is it's like they dipped their toe in like where they wanted to go, and then they just stopped.
And they just turned around and pissed in it.
And said, well, we need this to happen, so we have some manufactured like tension. Anything they tried to manufacture was terrible. I never felt anything about anybody in the show at all.
And we'll get to more. We'll get to more, but
We'll get to more.
Heather.
I honestly, I liked seeing the more human side of Nick Fury because we've only ever seen the business side of him.
Mm-hmm.
But when it got to that conversation of I grieved you for 15 years and then I had to do what I had to do, it's just like, yeah, she's working with the bad guys.
I think it was.
The thing is, everything was just told to you. They told you that. Like,
Hey! Let me tell you something here.
They're gonna tell you what's going on. I don't even need to whisper in your ear, okay? They're gonna tell you what's going on. Also, like, again, they're reiterating that he's fucking ancient. Like, every single moment they get, it's like, he lost a step. If there was that Nick Fury, he would have done this. It's like, you can't just turn a character into something without any actual logical fucking linking it together.
So,
like, at least in Endgame, they give him a kid and told you why Tony Stark changed.
True.
And this is just like,
well,
guess what? He's different.
You'll have to remind me because for obvious current circumstances. I can't remember the reason why they say Fury is kind of like all out of it, but I can't remember the actual reason.
The plot has to happen. I'm telling you.
Well, no,
there is no other. He spent all his time. It was the blip. The blip changed him.
Yeah, how?
And he was like, well, I just couldn't help. I realized in that moment I couldn't help people anymore. I'm like, in that moment, you're like, motherfucker, they got rid of you. Eat my ass. You're rewriting the storyline just to fit whatever you want to do with this character. I'm telling you, that's exactly what happened.
I just turned it in my head of him disappearing at that exact moment.
Yeah.
He's like, I couldn't help anyone. No, you turn around like, motherfucker.
Honestly, they assassinated his character in this show.
So
they changed his character to make this show, and in order, like they fucking killed him. And I'll get to the point where they fucking tell him to his face, "It's like you're a piece of shit. You're only you because of us." And it's like,
well, that's kind of what.
Well, I guess he's dead.
Rhodey said to him.
Yeah, but it was true. Eventually.
All right, well,
they killed. All right,
let me get.
It's supposed to be his show, right?
Let me get through 3. No, it's not.
It's all about fucking Arms McGee.
Arms McGee.
I think Heather's frozen time. It's a perfect way to be friends. Yes, I will play special ed football.
It's like, oh man, I'm fucking cooked. It's like that, like it's like those like Looney Tunes. Where it's like, oh, it's him, my Prince Charming.
Yeah, she's about to throw up a thumbs up. Yeah, but no, fuck that show. Honestly, like everything they did, like they made him old because they wanted him to be old, so that they can use. she likes everything right now. She didn't see.
Damn it. 5.
But they made him into that fuck. They made him into Luke Skywalker. And how'd that go? Terribly. I just don't get why they have to fucking. In order to make the next thing, it's like, well, we have to kill the last thing, and we have to tell the audience we're killing them. Oh, he's back. He's old as shit. What happened? When did he become fucking 98 years old? And everybody knows it. Every single person knows he's 98. He was away from the fucking planet, and everyone's like, why, he's not the same.
Welcome back.
Fuck that shit. Heather, you froze perfectly.
I figured I did. But it's not just Disney who changed the character. It was also Samuel L. Jackson himself, because he's the executive producer for this show.
Oh my god, he angered me to no extent. There's a scene where he goes up to fucking Brody and he's like, even when I'm out, I'm in. The next scene is fucking collapsing on a bench like a fucking 90-year-old citizen. Yeah. That was so weird.
When he's out. When his hips are out.
I hated it. You did not need to show the failed side of him. It just ruins the character.
I think they pushed it too far in that one, but let me try and get through episode 3, Betrayed. How we feel after the show. Gravik reveals to the Skrull Council that he intends to create super Skrulls with abilities using the power DNA. Okay, that's a weird way to comma the sentence. Having used himself as the first successful test subject. He also explains that he has sent rebels to...
God.
Yeah?
Continue. No, I'm just... just in it.
He also explains that he has sent rebels to infiltrate the Royal Navy in order to launch missiles at the United Nations aircraft. Gravik meets...
Heather, what do you think about this? Yeah, I told you. I told you.
Is that what you were commenting? Is that what you were like? Never mind.
Yeah, well, no, I said fucking Heather's frozen.
I didn't hear you.
And he just went on.
I didn't hear you. Oh my god. This is for all you audio listeners out there, this is quite a treat.
Oh man, you know when Heather gets back, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you both. I'm gonna tell you both.
All right.
But who Gravik reminds me of? He's just, and it's sad that he's worsely written in this medium. Anyways,
Who does he remind you of?
well, yeah, I need Heather to be here. No, he reminds me of. I don't think you ever played it. Detroit Become Human. The character Jesse something, another like biracial actor, looks somewhat similar. Become like he's a robot that like gets in Robot Uprising. It's so like the parallels are similar because they look the same and they dress the same, and a lot of the story beats are the same, except the game actually did it better than the fucking show. Heather will know. Heather will know.
I don't know nothing, man. I'm so far in the fucking. I'm gonna say trees and clouds at the same time, but.
But what did you think about Gravik?
Say it with me now. Missed opportunity.
Uh-huh.
The whole show was. And
they also had his storyline.
Yeah.
But they're like, you know what? Instead of showing you something that you could feel, it's like, hey, come here, baby.
Hey, perfect timing, Heather.
I just had to restart the computer. I don't know if Discord's getting ready to update or what. It's just fucking.
Whatever it is, you're fucked.
Yeah.
So I told Connor that I had like vibes of Detroit Become Human with Garrick
Gravik.
and his people. What the fuck?
Garrick.
What kind of name is that?
Gary.
Pretty close.
Gary.
Gravik and his people and fucking Jesse, whatever his name is, and the androids. And
Okay,
okay, because one is in like a fucking. They're both in dilapidated buildings, and they're both speaking to like fucking people that have been enslaved.
Oh yeah, let's go hang in Chernobyl.
And they both look similar.
Yeah.
Except I'm like the game kind of did it better than the show.
Just slightly, yeah.
All right, let me power through this as fast as possible. Gravik reveals the Skrull Council that he intends to create super Skrulls with special abilities using powered DNA, having used himself as the first successful test subject. He also explains that he has sent rebels to infiltrate the Royal Navy in order to launch missiles at the United Nations aircraft. Great work. Gravik meets with Talos to negotiate a parley, but the discussions break down when the former threatens to kill Gaia. Gaia secretly sends Talos information about the Royal Navy attack. Fury, angry that Talos allowed so many Skrulls to infiltrate Earth, reluctantly asks Talos to help him stop Gravik. Sounds like a good idea. They contact Falsworth and learn the name of the Naval Command Headquarters officer in charge, Commodore Robert Fairbanks. Fury and Talos break into Fairbanks' home and interrogate him, learning that he is a Skrull. After he provokes Talos into killing him, Talos contacts Gaia, who acquires Fairbanks' authorization code so they can abort the missile launch in time. Gaia attempts to run away, but Gravik, who suspects of her betrayal, shoots her and leaves her for dead. Meanwhile, Vara secretly contacts an unknown person wishing to speak to Gravik, but is denied.
Terrible.
Just terrible.
So they took over the identities of not only both the people with the keys, but only one, and other. They doesn't even make any fucking sense. It's like we're gonna make our own mission more difficult on us because I'm going to be the one person with the key, so I have to convince the other person with the key to launch nuclear bombs.
Yep.
Like, why not take over both?
Because they have to have the show go on.
The plot has to
It's
happen.
just
Yeah.
like the writing is like, well, this is happening, but why? Somebody in the back is like, why not fired? Get out of here! Get the fuck out of here!
Hey, should we take that? Did you take
anybody
that part
that
out of the
questions
Navy?
anything
Did you take that part
makes
about
no
the Navy thing of the AI results before you sent it into Disney? Yeah. Shit.
It makes no sense. It's like, oh, they're gonna infiltrate and they're gonna use 3 different disguises. Yet only one disguise has anything to do with anything. The other 2 don't really fucking matter.
This is
Especially,
kind of
yeah.
where I started to go a little downhill for me.
This?
Yes. Fuck you.
It's just like you can't make an espionage thriller and write it like a kid with crayons.
I mean, you could
But
try.
they did.
But they did, and here it is, and it cost $200 million to make, somehow, because none of it looks good. Like it's okay. So I did read that they brought in like one of the cinematographers
Yeah.
from The Last of Us, and I was like, when the show started and they did that like up apartment shot of the different lights turning on as they ran up the stairwell, I'm like, oh, this is not like this. After that, it was fucking gone. It was just like, let's show them in a room. There's nothing was special. Like they lost everything special.
Well, that scene alone, fucking, they got faster. Like every 3 seconds, they were climbing a flight of stairs. It's like, but Nick
Yeah.
Fury's 90.
Yeah, well, was it? I don't know. I know it was fucking Bilbo Baggins, and he's not climbing anything fast for fuck's sakes. But I did like the color grading and where they were. Everything looked good in the first 15 minutes, and then it was like, well, we're gonna put the camera in here in the middle of the room. It's gonna be a midsection shot, and you're just gonna be in a room talking. Why does this cost $200 million? And Samuel Jackson's in the corner. It's like, me, baby.
Let me go investigate. Gone. Yeah, I mean, they're trying. Just no. Moving on, episode 4.
Well, okay, so like they have Talos, and he's like, okay, Talos is just a bitch. He's like, this is your stop. It's like, okay, I guess I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna turn her into a woman too, which I thought was kind of cool, actually. Like the fact that he was like a woman to like distract the guards, that was kind of interesting.
Clever.
But I knew it was him. Everything that happens in the show, I'm like, okay, this is who it is, and that was 100% on. Anyways, he leaves, and in my mind, I'm like, how the fuck is Samuel Jackson gonna get off this fucking super white Russian train? And then later on, it just he's Mission Impossible. They never show it until one point,
no
and it even looks weird there.
Mission Impossible is the writing. So, oh yeah, and then Vara, they're starting to tease that Vara, his wife, is maybe she's working with Gravik, and
Does anybody care?
I never bought it, so I'm like, I don't give a shit.
But nobody, like everything that happens in the show, nobody cares. Do you care about any of the characters
No.
outside of Nick Fury, just for the past?
Yep.
I don't care about any of the characters. All their motivation is fucking stupid.
There's one character that I only care about because what happened. We'll get there. It's only because it's like, it's part of the things I hate about the last episode.
So we're gonna say that Nick Fury and whatever her name is, Yara, whatever,
Vara,
Lucille,
Yeah.
whatever.
Priscilla.
There you go. We're gonna say they were married for fucking 30 years, and this is the first time they're like, "Would you like me without me pretending to be somebody else?" This is the first time when they're 90-year-old, apparently.
I caught that too.
It's just so manufactured, man. They tried to turn him 90, which I mean, Samuel Jackson is older, but he was never presented as older.
Yes.
Until this, because like that's what we gotta do. It just has to happen.
Oh yeah. Jesus. Episode 4, Beloved. Before she attempted to run away from the rebels, Gaia used Gravik's machine to empower herself with the extremist abilities. Oh yeah, that's right. She got shot. This allows her to recover from Gravik's gunshot and meet with Talos. He explains to her.
We didn't even see. Did anybody think she was dead?
Yes.
No.
Really?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Terrible. I mean, this is the downside to hiring a bunch of like big name actors. You can't just kill them halfway through.
Well, here's also my thinking behind it. I thought she was done with the show, but I didn't think she was dead. I thought they would bring her back in like season 2 and be like, "Surprise! I'm still here, motherfuckers."
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be this much of a twist like that on the road.
So I watched the same actress, and to this day I'll say I don't think she's a very good actress. She portrayed the role well in Game of Thrones,
Yep.
but for some reason, they keep trying to make her this badass. She's 3 feet tall and like 19 pounds.
Yep.
Like they tried to make her a badass in
Didn't work.
eventually in Game of Thrones. They tried to make her a badass in which
So-
worked kind of Game of Thrones because it was like it wasn't me being a badass. It was my power. Where in other things, she was in Terminator and she was supposed to be Sarah Connor. That didn't work out.
Jesus.
And
She was in
this, it's like
Solo.
she's miscast for me. And all of her fucking anytime they show her, she's like looking off into the distance. That's her whole character. It's like, you know what? We're gonna sign her. It's gonna cost a lot of money, but we're gonna have her act like pretty much a post. Get out there and do it.
I think that has a lot to do with her 2 brain aneurysms too.
No, I think it's just the fact that the directing is terrible, and the writing for her looks sad.
Or trying to be mysterious, but also sad puppy.
Her her character angered me so much.
Rebel puppy. This letter to recover from Gravik's gunshot, meet with Talos. He explains to her that he is planning to ask the United States President Ritson to help the Skrulls after they successfully stop the rebels, which disappoints Gaia, who hoped for a stronger plan to find them a new home. I don't know about you guys, I was 100% on her side.
With
I
that,
just-
yeah.
Don't understand why they're relying.
On the humans again.
Why can't they find their own home?
Well, the ones on the planet don't have a ship, and the ship that's up in space is not big enough to move them all.
Well, the problem I have is you made it here.
Yep.
Why would you depend? Like, it doesn't make any sense to be like,
Not
if
to
you were
mention-
able to space travel,
Not to
versus
mention, you are holed up in a nuclear reactor. You have all the energy in the world right there.
well, also if aliens landed on this planet, would they if they came to us and be like, help us achieve space travel? Well, you already fucking did it. Help us. Like
Help me help you.
the whole storyline for this is based on that,
Yeah.
and it's like you already did it, but
Mhm.
you've offered no help, and you were just there being like, well, what about us?
Do the thing.
What about us?
How do I do the thing? What?
That accompanied with Nick Fury being like a guy that walks around with a 9mm, who is. Why does he have a regular? Why doesn't he have alien technology in some form at this point in time? He's oh god.
He's old-fashioned and relies on old technology.
No, he
aside
doesn't.
from-
Not until this show he didn't,
Ooh.
because he had a fucking super vehicle the last time and lasers that tore through the earth.
Well, they were also locked down after Tony died, so he couldn't get in them.
Well, he had like he has a fucking ship that hovers above the earth. That's basically the size of a city. There's no,
That's
it
it,
just doesn't
that's
make
Skrull.
sense. That was him. He was part of Shield. Shield was advanced technology,
Mm.
and he has a 9mm Beretta.
Well,
It's
shit.
just
Shit. Well, Fury was okay. So hold on. So Fury was a bit of an outcast after.
he got lasered to the fucking planet,
He,
and he has a 9mm.
hold on. No, you're right. It's fucking bullshit.
It's like, why wouldn't they give him something? He's just they
He probably-
really
he
are like
probably-
he's got to be old and useless. That's the thing we're going with. And they never really does he ever redeemed from being old and useless? No, he's just like, all right, fuck it, I'm out.
Shoot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, where did I fucking leave off? Okay, here we go. Having secretly listened to their conversation, Fury confronts Vara over this. This is where I hate that. This is where
God, I hated this fucking moment in this show.
I did not
Thank
like
God
it.
you did too, because this
But-
was
but
that
they-
moment
but
where
they-
I'm like, I'm done giving this chances.
That's where I stopped. I'm like, okay, this idea, like before, like I said, I'm like, okay, this could be interesting. This could be an instant wrinkle, and then this fucking like, nope. But they reconcile after she reveals that she took an oath to her human counterpart to never harm her lover. Cool. Fury visits Rava and shares a drink with her, secretly planting a liquid tracker. Fury and Talos then follow Rava as she picks up Ritson for talks with Russia. Gravik and the rebels attack Ritson's convoy disguised as Russian terrorists. Fury and Talos extract an unconscious Ritson, but Gravik kills Talos in the process.
The biggest problem with this whole fucking thing is, first of all, the scene between Samuel Jackson and his wife. All they do is tell you everything. They don't show you anything.
Hey. Let me tell you something.
This is fucking whoever made this show is like, let me tell you something, because that's all I can do. I can't show you anything. We have video cameras, but that's just for recording people talking. We're not gonna show you what happened, and you're gonna feel the same as if we showed you, as in us telling you. And that did not do that. That was terrible. I fucking hated it, and I hate when they shot and missed each other. I'm like, and you played that for like tension, the only tense moment in the show, and it was like, let me shit in your mouth.
Basin.
Let me tell you about it.
Terrible.
Let me just
terrible.
Let me tell you something.
So terrible.
Just
and I hated that part. What was the last thing you said? Because
Gravik killing Talos in the shootout.
This is the other part where things were just like in your face. The fucking soldiers sitting there turning to Talos. He's one of them. He's one of them. And then he's with me. And then that same soldier comes over to help carry him over, and it's just like, all of a sudden he's not suspicious. So
think about this, right? Because this is in show. This is the way the show presents itself.
Let me tell you something.
Okay, let me tell you something. The Skrulls attacked the president, right?
Yeah.
And they killed a bunch of them. And what do we know about Skrulls? When they die,
they turn into themselves.
Yeah, right?
Uh-huh.
So after the attack on the president, wouldn't it be easily surmised that the Skrulls attacked the president? Yet the president doesn't know Skrulls even exist. Nobody knows.
No,
even though it's on the fucking... Well, I guess at the end he's like, oh, Jesus Christ, when Rhodey becomes a Skrull or something like that. He says something to that extent.
No, I get where you're going. I just minor nitpick. It's implied that he knew. Man, this is good shit.
He knew it. God damn it.
He knew who or what they were prior to. Because I mean, you have to figure that if the president has any involvement with like Sword or Shield, that at this point, all the events that happened pre-Endgame are more commonplace knowledge. But
taken up by two random helicopters that show up.
I was another,
and there's no he has no protection outside of like fucking drunk Rhodey being like, oh, I need a fucking which is basically what they portrayed.
Truth be told, with and this might be just me thing. Truth be told, I thought the whole fight, like the whole choreography and the effects, for lack of a better word, of the shootout, pretty decent.
It was.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
There's
up
no
until
knock on the visuals and the
up until Talos tries to break his fucking arm trying to get the president out. Because I agree with what Heather said earlier. It's like
he starts to look like World of Warcraft.
Why the fuck? Not even his not like even like the appearance of it, but it's just like why the fuck like do you like just realize? Oh yeah, now he's one of them. No, let him keep breaking his fucking arm. Like what? So much of that part should not have happened. I feel like it's a cutscene in a video game. We all have to
I felt like they felt, because of the like pace of the show, and the show was slow, and slow shows are fine in my opinion, as long as they captivate you in other ways. This show did not do that, so it was a breath of fresh air to have.
Breath of fresh air, I'll take that.
Breath of just hit fucking flapping in your face.
Yes.
A fresh air.
Secret adventure.
And it was intriguing, but at the same time, it was cut to shit. It didn't make a lot of sense.
Yep.
He's like, and the like, why? If your main antagonist is shapeshifters,
yes.
Why is he fucking staying in one ship? Why is a black man running in saying Russian army? It doesn't necessarily scream Russian. Like the beginning of this whole show went out of its way to show Russians as people that wore those floppy fucking hats. Every single person in the first episode wore a fucking floppy hat. I'm like, that's not Russia, but whatever. And then they just went away from that, and nobody cares. Nobody cares. And he just stays that way until he turns into somebody that is kind of impractical for him to turn into. That they just don't show it, and it's like, you're a surprise, motherfucker. Nobody cares.
Right.
Talos, I was like, thank God he's dead. I don't have to listen to his fucking Australian fucking Bostonian. I don't know what he is.
Mate.
You made a hey, why?
You
What are
made
you?
a promise, wicked hat.
Why are you Australian? I feel like every Skrull should have just been like a prototype of whatever. I don't know. It's just angered
Oi,
me.
mate, don't you know we Skrulls speak like
It
this
just-
like a all south, right?
I think what it is
uh,
when they take their memories, they also take their dialect because they're trying to mimic them.
I would love and they kind of show this in the show where they're holding people hostage, and it's not only like I'm gonna take your visual appearance. They have to like connect to them, I think, to take like them perfectly. But then that's not true. I don't know. I don't even know if that's true.
Well,
in the
yes, they
show.
needed to have their memories so they could prove that they are that person.
Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you right now.
Do
well,
short term.
maybe not.
They can take short-term memories, but not long-term.
I just feel like again a missed opportunity for not explaining more of what the fuck I was seeing and just being like, well, this is happening. This is happening. Did you guess that this person was a Skrull? You're right.
Talos's death was a mixed bag because I didn't like the character, but I enjoyed the actor, so it was kind of tough.
I like the actor.
Yeah,
I didn't hate the character, but I felt like if you're gonna kill that character, replace him.
We
and
had
then they
a
just
deal,
didn't do
mate.
that. I gotta take a piss. I'll be right back.
God damn.
Okay.
It. So Heather, Talos is dead now.
He'll be back. Oh no, he won't. They actually burned his body, so
Listen, at this point, multiverse.
you never know.
Yeah, you can
never know.
Back.
But yeah, again, with that whole thing, he's beaten out the window with his alien strength, and the soldier, he's one of them. And then all of a sudden, the soldier just trusts him. It's like, yeah, that's the fucking bad guy, dude. Come on.
Yeah, like what?
They made things so blatantly obvious in that moment, and through most of the show, that was just like.
And the thing of it is, and I kind of alluded to this back at the beginning of the stream or the back of the review was, the Secret Invasion comic itself was vastly different than what you see here. I mean, the same concept was that Skrulls were invading Earth, but they were also impersonating certain heroes.
Right.
And so it became the centerpiece was who's really a Skrull and who's not. I mean, we'll get into Rhodey at the end of the last episode because there's been some theories and
speculations. They could have played that off as to no, that's really Brody, but no, they gotta in our face.
They gotta blow their wad.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Hey, oh man, Rhodey, are you okay? What are you trying to say?
Let me I have a question about the Skrulls because I didn't see anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So the Skrulls are super powered already. Super powered, like green people.
They have strength. Yeah.
They do have. They're stronger than average human.
Why didn't when the one Skrull was put in the fucking meat locker with the English woman? Why didn't he break out of his chains?
Mm-hmm.
They showed Skrulls breaking out of their chains, literally, in this show.
I don't know. She's British, child. I'm guessing on that one.
But she's also made it very clear that she knew that he was a Skrull beforehand, so it might have been reinforced chains.
Well, she didn't put the chains on him. Some random fucking Russians did.
Yeah.
Or whatever they were.
But she was in charge of the operation to capture said Skrull.
They were surprised when she showed up. So I would argue that the show is dumb as shit.
Shenanigans.
They just have no through line for the Skrulls being super powered randomly.
Well, episode 5 says harvests.
As they say in pitch meeting. Hey, shut up.
Episode 5, I think, is the point where I knew the show was trash.
No, it was 6 for me, but
6.
5. I was
we're getting there. We are getting there.
Yeah, we're getting
and
there.
Trust me, I am with Connor with the fucking rant.
Yep.
On this episode.
Following their failed attack on Ritson, the rebels start to lose faith in Gravik for not killing Fury and his perceived deception towards them. I actually like that part.
Doesn't even make any sense.
Why?
He killed all of his followers.
Oh, you mean
His
I
motivations make no sense.
A new
It's just
a new recruit named Beto leads a small group in mounting a mutiny, but Gravik kills them all. Meanwhile, Fury gets Ritz into a hospital and confronts Rava, but she reveals that she has leaked footage of Hill's death, placing Fury on a global watch list. Fury later meets with Gaia, who reveals Gravik is looking for the Harvest. After exposing her superior, Derek Weatherby, as a Skrull, Falsworth locates Dr. Rosa Dalton, another disguised Skrull, and questions her about Gravik's DNA machine. Rava shows Ritson pictures of Gravik's Russian base, new Skrullos to implicate Russia as Skrull sympathizers, and advise a strike on the compound. Gravik calls Fury, offering to call off the strike if he brings him the Harvest in person. Gaia and Vara hold a funeral for Talos and fend off an attack by Gravik's men, but in Finland, Fury leads Falsworth to a grave marked with his name, which contains the Harvest, a collection of DNA from the superheroes who fought during the Battle of Earth. Fury takes the Harvest and prepares to confront Gravik.
And this, I agree with her on this. All this time, we could have just come here.
Mm-hmm.
What's the first thing
he pulls the Terminator move and goes into the mausoleum and breaks out his other weapons.
Yep.
And the coat.
Oh, that was oh my fucking god.
Okay.
When it's like, oh, the Nick Fury suiting up moment, I'm like, so he just took off the same clothes to put on the same clothes?
Yeah.
Oh no, this trench coat had leather.
It looked terrible.
Yeah,
It was just...
So, okay.
And all in individual cubby holes. You're telling me this guy left a operable gun in a fucking cubby hole for 13 years?
Not in a cubby hole, in a mausoleum.
A cubby hole in a mausoleum. Terrible. But what was the beginning of the episode?
So, Gravik's men not having faith in him anymore because he failed to kill Fury.
So the character of Bento, what the fuck was the point?
I don't know.
There was none. He was literally mean.
He literally started off as like, I was like, okay, so this is going to be like, you as a viewer, this is going to be your entry point into their operation. And he was just fucking a glorified...
I think he won a contest
extra.
or something. I wouldn't be surprised.
No, he was in a show I saw on... it was on British television for like 10 episodes.
Oh, jeez.
He's a legit actor. They just fucking... Okay.
All right.
Do that with him. What's the point? And that's when I recognized him. I'm like, okay, so he's going to do probably something. And it was like, yeah.
He sort of did.
We could have replaced him with a fucking black billboard. He didn't even need to be black. I don't know.
So obviously it was kind of like, oh, we're gonna implicate that the Skrulls are working with the Russians. It's like, man, you fucking ready to die? Want to die on that hill, don't you? Okay, no pun intended. Die on hill, get it? Because Maria Hill.
Yeah.
So
the funny part is like they're somewhere in one of these many nuclear factories. However, we have no idea with who. What? Okay. We have no idea where these nuclear factories are. If only we had technology that could tell us where nuclear factories
are. The part that infuriates me about this, actually, now that I'm thinking about it with not any clarity whatsoever, as I look like my profile picture. So the idea was that, and correct me if I'm missing a beat on this one, is that basically Gravik is forcing the president to launch an attack to use it as a bargaining chip towards Nick Fury, because he knows he's going to feel guilty about this. So on the off chance that anything went wrong, even if Nick Fury agreed to it and like he somehow got killed by some other reason, he was essentially fucked.
It's stupid. That's the answer. It's really dumb. I honestly thought they at a point in time they were like going with, if we make a nuclear holocaust, then the people that can survive is us, and it's kind of like the way that we want it. And I thought it was going there, but then they didn't go there, and then went back and forth, and nothing actually makes sense.
Exactly. Okay, so the Harvest, the collection of DNA from all the superheroes who fought in the Battle of Earth.
Yes.
Yeah, and how did they get this?
So
Nobody knows.
No, they do say,
they
and it's
explain those
dumb
things.
as shit.
They said that basically there was a special, ironically, there was a special. Wow, I'm gone. Special team that was designed to not only do cleanup services for the Battle of Earth, but in the process also collect the DNA samples from all those who were there.
Who spilt blood
So
at Endgame, basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which is something to note too, though, and this is just a fun little tidbit. They have the Black Order too, because if you notice, some of them are Thanos' generals, the Black Order, that we also have DNA of. So just throwing that out there.
Oh god.
The concept of the harvest is something intriguing to me, but
Batman.
but not here and now. Not this. So okay.
It's such a waste of an idea that could have been actually a cool idea for like a super baddie down the line.
Yeah.
In my mind,
Not a one and done.
they got a hold of Nick Fury's fucking special DNA, and now they have every superpower. But you also have to like present it in. They might have every power, but they don't have the knowledge to use them.
Yeah.
Knowledge to handle the capacity. Yeah.
That's the way I would have went. But...
Here's to throw this on the complaining pile, and this is again episode 6. I lost faith, but this is kind of like made me tilt my head. You kind of pulled out the rug from underneath everybody, but you never implied that right from the get-go, right? It's one thing if you have like a story of a protagonist and antagonist, and they somewhat establish like what's the story, what's the stake here, what's up for grabs. And it's fine if like the villain reveals like some sort of subterfuge act that was, my real plan was this the whole time and blah blah blah. But I feel like this has been so like it takes the sting out of it, and it takes away the value of it, because you didn't need to do, I don't know. I just feel like it was very unnecessary to do like, oh, this is what it's really all about. Skrull, this, and it's like, nope, actually, I just want to make everybody super. So if you could just hand me
what
harvest.
a much better show would have been, in my opinion, if the Skrulls got a handle of like the superhero serum, and not all in one vial, separately, and they became like versions of the superheroes, and Nick Fury had to kind of like defeat them because he is that guy that knows, and he's like he knows, he's worked with these guys, he knows their weakness, that kind of shit. Right. I think would have been a lot better than
absolutely
what
everything
they did
all in
with
one
it.
bundle.
Yeah, everything all in one bundle is just, oh my god, we'll get to it, but it's horrible. One thing that happens in this is the whole this kind of irked me, because like they exploded the fucking president and his entourage and killed everybody, and he's like, and Brody like gives him like an idea. Well, you need to bomb this like abandoned nuclear place, and he's like, that would mean World War III. I'm like, they just fucking. You almost died,
yeah,
man.
like, what the fuck, man?
I'm like, isn't World War III already in action, since on foreign soil
sir,
you got attacked and almost killed?
Sir, remind me how we got here again. Hey, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
That was so stupid. And he's like, from what we understand, they're here, and it's like, forgive me because I don't know. Rhodey, what is he? Is he vice president? Is he like, who is he?
Presidential.
In the
advisor.
presidential
Staff, I think, actually.
I thought he was
No.
like defense minister or something.
Like that. Hold on.
Yeah, but they do actually mention his title. I think it was in the second episode.
They mentioned his title, but I'm like, holy shit, he's the only person that talks to the president. There is a point in time where the president is alone in a hospital bed, and they just don't care because it's so unrealistic. The president gets destroyed, and it's like, oh, Nick Fury's taking him to the hospital. It'll be okay. You think they wouldn't arrive at that hospital with people from the fucking U.S. military there? The fact that he's sitting and then he just gives up? What was that? I don't know if this is the 5th episode or 6th. I watched them all in one, but it's like, I'm going to sit here so that nobody comes here. And then the guy you expect to come there comes there, and he's like, okay, I'm leaving. What? It was terrible. It didn't make any sense.
Envoy and advisor to the president.
The only advisor to the president, apparently.
Yep. Come on, it's Rhodey.
It didn't make any fucking
No,
sense.
but I felt like it was kind of a bit like it was a hard turn from following the path of like a you
Iron Man?
know what?
Iron Man?
No, I meant Gravik, where it was like, okay, we're doing this for the good of Skrulls, and then just like, nope, psych, and pull out the. I wasn't big on that either.
The other thing that pissed me off is like if you're gonna make Rhodey a Skrull. Sorry, Heather. If you're gonna make Rhodey a Skrull, where is the fucking War Machine shit?
Exactly. And his leg braces didn't even seem to be there.
Well, I mean, he kind of like. We'll get to that. We'll fucking. Oh
All right,
my
so
God.
let's get to it. Episode 6 is titled "Home." All right, bear with me. It's a big one.
This episode was too fucking long.
Fury.
It was only like 35 minutes.
Fury confronts Gravik at New Skrullos, gives him the harvest, and asks that he spare Earth and conquer other planets. Gravik refuses before using the harvest to empower himself and attempt to kill Fury, only to learn it's a disguised Gaia who also used the harvest. The two fight, with Gaia eventually killing Gravik. Meanwhile, Rava successfully convinces Ritson to authorize a nuclear strike on New Skrullos, but is tricked by Falsworth into arranging for Ritten's evacuation. Rava attempts to retaliate, but is killed by Fury. Ritson calls off the strike, allowing Gaia to free Gravik's human prisoners, such as Ross and Rhodes. In the aftermath, Ritson issues a new bill declaring all off-world species as hostile forces. Oh my god, I forgot about that. Hostile forces, and threatens to hunt down the remaining Skrulls on Earth, causing unrest as civilians publicly murder various high-profile officials for fear that they are Skrulls. I forgot about that too. Falsworth meets with Gaia and proposes a partnership to protect the Skrulls against Ritson's bill. After cautioning Ritson about the unrest he caused, Fury asks Vara to come to Saber with him to help negotiate at a peace summit with the Kree. She agrees, and they leave Earth together. Oh, man.
Absolute garbage.
Heather?
Can I just... The baby Hulk arm that had the literal blockbuster baby hand on Amelia Clark?
Mm-hmm.
During that final fight scene, which was literally just, again, Guardians of the Galaxy, bing, bang, boom, done.
Yep.
No, this is way more.
Oh,
Way
yeah.
more. This might be. This is second to She-Hulk.
It is.
She-Hulk's ending.
So, go ahead, Heather, sorry.
I can't wrap my head around the fight scene happens, and then I'm just like, I'm done with this. And then the show continues, and we get the president talking to Nick Fury and saying, well, if you don't like it, you come and do something about it. It's like, no American president would ever fucking do that or say that, for one thing. And Nick just hangs up the phone and it's like, yeah, we're going to Kree. What?
Let me ask you this question, both of you. What character was actually developed in this show?
None of them.
Nope.
Ding, ding, ding.
Okay.
There is literally no character development in this show.
So when quote-unquote Fury went to go confront Gravik and he's starting to choke on the radiation and stuff like that, I said, okay, I really hope this doesn't turn out to be Gaia and this is like a bait and switch.
It's like you
I
knew
really-
it all along.
I really
Is it?
hoped, and I'm like, please let this not be
I
it. It could like give me some other twist, and I'm like, fuck. And then the fight happened, and I know something that in theory should be fucking amazing and cool, especially for those diehard or friends like mine who I drag through the mud making them watch all this stuff, would appreciate a really fun, cool moment to see that, even CGI graphics notwithstanding, just turn into I don't really care.
You know what killed me is that the fight is like, we get all the fucking mutant or superhero capabilities,
First, it ended up as
except they're only in our arms.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why was there only arms? And I can tell you why. Because they ran out of budget, because they did 8,000 reshoots, and they used existing fucking properties. And I can support that, because her Drax arm has Drax's tattoos.
Strange.
Yeah.
No, it was, what's his fucking face? Squidward.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Ebony Maw.
So they have Squidward's powers, but they also have his rings. So if they have anybody's power, shouldn't they have their utensils that they use for everything?
I don't.
Like, because the show is written by a fucking idiot. I'm telling you, it's the
Yeah.
dumbest fucking show
Ooh, that was lightning.
I think I've seen in a very long while.
So,
None of it makes sense.
so the idea that they call it, so the tension with Rhodey towards the end there with the president, I'm like, all right, that was okay as far as like whether or not they can trust him, and then he calls
I
up the
didn't
thing.
care for that either. They didn't really give any growth to the president.
Oh no.
So, and then the president is like, instead of saying, we're going to hunt the Skrulls down, it's, I'm going to kill any off-world anything.
That's
It's
the
like,
part I
man,
was gonna say.
off-world fucking people saved the fucking planet, you idiot.
I was just about to say like
It's just terrible
I don't
writing,
know
man.
why
I'm telling
that
you,
needed to
it's
happen.
terrible writing.
Yep.
Because they need that character to be that. They want to make Donald Trump.
So
And that's why he was shown on
the only-
FXN,
well,
not anything resembling CNN, because it looked exactly like Fox News.
what I was gonna say was some people were also theorizing that this is planting the seeds for the mutants.
Yes, it is, but it's
Bad.
terrible.
I'm not saying
it's like it's so stupid. It's so unbelievably stupid.
And then they're killing murderers. They're murdering various high-profile officials.
Running
It's like,
right in front of the press, shooting the fucking Skrulls in the fucking head. Poor Shooter McGavin, man. Come on.
And also the fact that they went, like, they don't even try anymore, man. The effects for shooting people look so bad.
yeah, I've seen Rocket
It
do it
literally,
better.
looked like the PS3 blood splatter.
Especially when they
from
try
Resident
to do
Evil.
it, like, they don't do blood splatter. They do blood pooling, which looks horrible. I'm like, oh my god, that's so fucking CGI.
I didn't like the way that this was ended. I didn't like I felt like there was and
I hated
and-
everything
oh,
about the last
oh
episode.
no
Everything.
the last I did too. The last other thing that just I don't know like really fucking irked me was so Gaia is just free to go. The super power, so the amount of power that she possesses is theoretically fucking insane.
So the thing that pissed me off, and this is another thing that Marvel has like become synonymous with, anything that's like a small like social justice fucking movement, they just jump on board with.
Mhm.
And yes, this was more subtle with it, but it did definitely have like a vibe of like accept me how I am. You could have the allegory for trans, and in that shit, I think it was fine. What I don't like, however, is I lost my train of thought. No, there was something specific. What did you just say before I started talking?
I'm right there with you as being
Oh,
being lost.
help me,
Fuck.
motherfucker. No, there was something that they did with. Oh, okay. So the Amelia Clark has all the powers in the world. Nobody cares.
Oh yes.
There is a scene in this where the English woman
Recruits her.
gets out, and no, there's two Skrulls, and she like it makes no fucking sense because she apprehends a male and a female Skrull. However, does it matter? Do you even know? Because a female Skrull was Rhodey, right?
Yeah.
So it could be a male or female. Their genders are not aligned with their identities in this, right? So she instead of just shooting her in the head, the male takes the other female hostage.
Well, yeah, he's
And-
trying to save his own ass. That's what that was.
Why wouldn't he just shoot the fucking English woman in the head?
Because the plot has to happen.
Okay, so it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
Anyways, and she's like, just like the males in our species, they try to gaslight you or they try to kill you. I'm like,
So
What?
so just
Fuck are you talking about?
and then Fury's wife goes with him to Saber at the end. So
And then no, she shoots him in the head.
shoots everybody in the head. So the other thing I wanted to mention too, as far as, and this is just maybe my opinion, is, and I can't point to any specifics, but like as far as when we started talking about the Disney Plus shows, in terms of their overall impact with the MCU, right? In terms of like, okay, like may not be huge, maybe be more subtle. Like obviously, WandaVision was a setup going into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And I can't think of really too many others right now. Oh, Loki is a setup to kind of Ant-Man and extend in terms of introducing, Kang the Conqueror. Yep. This didn't need to happen.
No.
Nope. And it's unfortunate because they fucked it. You know what I would have done? I would have done, as soon as Endgame ended, I would have put this after that.
Yes.
As the next big chronicle. It wouldn't be an Avengers movie. It would be like a soft Avengers movie.
Yep.
Where it was just like a thriller. Instead of doing it what they did, it's so terrible. Like honestly, like they undercut everything. This last episode, you have fucking what's his face, the guy, the Gravik, pouring his heart out and why he did everything, and in the end he pours his heart out to not Nick Fury, the person he cared. So his whole fucking arc is gone.
Right.
Forget about it. Doesn't matter.
I guess
he's dead anyway. So.
I guess the biggest thing for me is like even if we didn't like some of the Marvel shows with What If notwithstanding, even that had a purpose to it.
Only
but
one that's not canon.
Right. It's that, okay, we may not have liked the shows, but for the most part, they served a purpose as far as like, in its place to the MCU bigger storytelling, for better or for worse, and I feel like no one needed to watch this.
Yeah, it's a piece of shit, honestly. Like, there's nothing. It does nothing for the Marvel Universe. It does nothing for the fan base. It's a terribly written, failed television show. Because that's exactly what it is. And like, at the... Oh, God. The fact that, like, the payoff for Garrick is nothing.
Are you in pain reviewing this?
Yes, I hate it. The fact that Garrick's whole thing means nothing. And then I don't even understand. They both get superpowers, which... How did you plan that? All right, whatever. The whole plan is stupid as shit. And it's just based on the fact that they wrote it this way, in all honesty. And she gets superpowers, and for some reason she stays herself. He turns into a 9-foot-tall fucking Piccolo with abs.
Yep.
Why did that? That didn't even make any fuck. Why did he change and she didn't?
Because.
Okay. Anyways, we move on, and she starts getting the arms of every character. And he just fails, and she kills him because she's just better, I guess. And she also knows how powers work somehow.
Yep.
How does she know to make him go to sleep? How does she know what that power even does?
So what I'm hearing is 9 out of 10.
What I'm hearing is fucking what was She-Hulk? She-Hulk was like -10. This is a 1. This is a terrible show. It's a 2 out of 10, and 2 for the acting. The rest. So bad.
Heather, how about
it's written by like a fucking brain dead imp.
AI, in other words. I feel like if they didn't have to do all the fucking reshoots and just stuck with how it was the first time, we might have gotten a better show. And
There's a good show in there.
Huh?
There's a good show in there.
There is, but again,
squint.
As
but
with
like
all of the other shows and latest movies that we have watched, there are so many things you could take out and either plug something completely different in, or just leave it as is with that scene taken out, and it would have been better.
Everything good about this show is the exposition in the show.
Yes.
That is told to you, not shown to you. They tell us the best part of everything in this show.
Hey.
Did we really need
Let me tell you something.
the ending to that episode of Nick Fury kissing his now fully alien wife, who's never going back to her
It's like,
human persona.
was it just me that was like, what about the teeth?
Yes.
And she had fucking serrated fucking jaws.
Yeah, like a
And he's
fucking,
like, I love you
blender.
just the way you are. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Why is there a
Give me that
fucking...
give me that piranha mouth, though.
Why can't you just get sucked up through a laser like you came in with? Why is there a fucking thing?
Because it was
Because it doesn't make sense.
The ship that came down.
Because the show is shit.
I feel like
they don't know what they're doing.
You could have stretched this out really long if you didn't involve didn't involve the fucking president, and you kept this thing on Earth as just a thing that's going on, and make it more subtle and make it more like not high stakes. And you can
If you're gonna
do multiple seasons.
I did with the Captain Marvel movie.
If you're gonna show me a series where the idea is you don't know who anyone is,
Yep.
maybe don't tell me who everyone is.
Hey, let me tell you.
That's like number one in this fucking movie.
Hey,
It's so bad.
let me tell you who this is. Let me tell you.
Yeah, they told me it was
Yeah.
terrible. Terrible, man.
Heather,
It's so bad.
What would you rate it out of 10?
Out of 10, I'm with Basement, though I'm just slightly higher because there were parts of it that entertained me a bit more than they entertained him.
I think it might be like how much you like the English girl.
I fucking love the English woman.
I felt like she was part of a different show, so I couldn't like, involve her in this.
Every time she was on the screen, I would stop what I was doing to watch just her, and she made me laugh as she was killing people. Okay. So, with that being said, I am not that much higher than Basement. I am about 3.5 at best.
I am much higher than Basement right now. I'm gonna go 8.5 out of 10 on this one, and the reason I'm fucking kidding.
You need to stop taking those extra calories if that's the
No.
case.
I can realistically believe like a 5 out of 10, but
I was gonna go 4.
yeah, I can see it. There's good stuff.
There are pockets of things, whether or not so even the biggest complaint is obviously the same thing. I think we're on the same page of like a lot of like missed opportunities and things they could have done a lot easier, or to do more with what you had, especially given the context of like the main and antagonist and their powers and whatnot.
Man, the reason I rate it so low is because it was there. It
Yes,
was spoon fed.
But
tangible. You could see it. But then they sit there and go.
Yeah, I know. But I at the same time though, I do, even if it's the big middle finger at the end, I'm still giving it a little higher only because those other pockets of things when in the moment, not knowing what was happening in the future, in the moment I appreciate, like I said, like the Talos and Fury conversation on the train. Love that scene, but they didn't do shit with it. So it's obviously I get that, but I still, God damn it, I'm gonna take any positivity nuggets I'm gonna get.
Everything that was good was marred later. Like it's they just failed at every level, and it was like, here is a smorgasbord. This could have been an 8.5. This could have been fucking great.
Could have been one of the best ones.
But it's a 2 because you made it a 2 because you didn't care for it. Like you watched like 3 movies that were spy thrillers, and you were like, well, walk through crowds, close encounters where they talk a lot. That's gonna build tension. You didn't build any tension. No, there was no tension to be found.
No tension be had you.
And now you have a fucking. Not only did you hurt the show, you hurt the brand.
Oh yeah.
No, you hurt the brand. They killed Nick Fury. He's dead. I don't give a shit if I ever see him again. I hope he's dead. I hope he goes up to space and turns into a fucking
wait till we get to the Marvels. We'll get there.
Dildo. I just don't want to see him ever again.
Well, too bad you're gonna. So with that being said,
well,
no, what?
No, they did. Okay, so the reason I said they assassinated his character, at some point in time, Talos tells him, "We did everything for you. You were a fucking pencil pusher, and we found all the things that we gave you all the intelligence, so we made you who you are." I'm like, okay, so not only is he 90 years old now, he has the fucking greenheads to thank for everything he's capable of.
Mm-hmm.
They killed him, man. They absolutely assassinated his character.
Yeah, he'll die in Marvels. So
one can hope.
And I'll be glad when it happens.
Cats are doing weird shit. And I'm, hey, how you doing? So, that being said, once again, here in the Marvel Roundtable, it's going to wrap it up for the Secret Invasion review. Once again, ladies and germs, we are caught up. At the time of this recording, we have literally reviewed everything that has been produced in the MCU so far, that has been publicly made available to everyone. Now, as far as the schedule goes going forward, I know we've talked at length and ad nauseum that we are going to do a Star Wars roundtable around the corner, which I'm looking forward to doing. And then we'll come back, obviously, as more properties from Marvel get released, and we can sprinkle them in between other roundtables and whatnot. So I'm sure more roundtables are coming. Don't you fret. The next one, which we'll talk about, I guess we'll figure. I want to get people's thoughts on it here before we wrap it up. The next big thing would be Loki season 2, which comes out this month, actually. Yes. So, if you guys, I don't know if you guys, how much have you guys seen? September.
Oh.
This month is at 2. Yeah. So, did you guys see the trailers? Did you guys see the teasers?
I haven't seen anything.
Okay.
But I'm hyped to watch it.
I've seen just 2 teasers, and they were literally only about 15 seconds long.
Yeah.
So
I really wanted to go in not knowing anything. I don't really have. I don't have huge expectations, to be honest.
Okay.
But I do have expectations.
Thus far, I don't either.
So
I have expectations. It's just like
there's only one thing I know, in terms of what the plot is with. I think it's been made public. If you guys do, I'm going to say it here now. And
well, I'm pretty sure they alluded to it at the end of season 1. And it's Loki trying to get back to his timeline.
And he's also what's called time hopping, which means he's jumping between.
What we're doing the entire time.
Well, it's kind of like oh god, it's kind of like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse when they're like glitching. It's kind of like that. But yeah, pretty much the same concept there. So are we gonna find Sylvie? Are we gonna find He Who Remains? What sort of timeline shenanigans are we gonna? Are you guys looking? What's your intrigue or excitement level going into it?
I feel like Loki will be. It won't be bad. It'll be at least a 7 out of 10, no matter how it works out.
I think that's largely going to be because of Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah, and I also feel like they have a bit more understanding of what they want to do with that.
Mobius needs to ride a jet ski.
In the second season and all,
yeah, and jet ski for sure.
Yep.
The other thing is they've got Deadpool on the horizon.
Yep.
And the X-Men. That's gonna be the resurgence of Marvel. I don't think anything else will be. I think the Marvels will be terrible.
Well, we're in a lull now.
Well, I mean, it might even be an okay show. Like if it's anything like the what was it, Miss Marvel?
Wait, which show?
Yeah, it's going to be part of it, and it's actually a movie. But they're also incorporating Carol Danvers and fucking
it might as well be a fucking stone block because I don't know anything about her. She was in WandaVision for 10 seconds. Who cares?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it could be all right.
Yep.
I think it'll be better than Captain Marvel.
Well, you won't know because you never watched it.
Yeah,
well, if I watch it, it'll be better because I was able to watch it.
So that's going to do it for the Marvel Roundtable. So make sure you guys tune in, and thank you. Much appreciated, as always. Thanks to Basement and Heather for putting up with the shenanigans this evening. When we come back to the Marvel Roundtable, we are joining, once again, the Prince himself, the Prince of Mischief, as Loki attempts to find his way home and also stop the time hops from happening. Top and gong, as we once again revisit Loki Season 2.